Hello, romantics. Today we're going to follow a love story between an unlikely couple. When they least expected it, love was born, but a secret from the past could destroy everything. Will this love survive after this revelation? Today's episode: Unexpected Love. Natalie woke up that morning excited and with big plans. She had finally been called for a job interview at a renowned publishing house. This was her chance to work in proofreading and literary translation. On the way, she bought a coffee and walked to the subway. She was holding the coffee, her handbag, and some folders and materials to show at the interview. But unexpectedly, a volleyball came towards her, spilling all the coffee on her jacket. The bag and folders fell to the floor, scattering the sheets. She looked down, horrified at the coffee dripping down her immaculate clothes. Her meticulously laid plans for the job interview were unraveling before her eyes. She looked up, ready to vent her frustration, but her speech was interrupted by the sight of a tall man with piercing eyes and a mischievous smile on his lips. "Sorry about that," said Peter, holding out his hand to help her up. Their fingers brushed, and she felt a shiver run down her spine. "I didn't mean for that to happen," he said. She accepted the help, but her eyes sparkled with indignation. "You should pay more attention to your surroundings. Also, maybe consider moderating your volleyball shots," she said. He arched an eyebrow, amused by her frankness. "I could say the same about absent-mindedly walking around here with your coffee," he said. She realized she was about to retort, but the distant sound of a cell phone interrupted the moment. She looked at the illuminated screen and her heart sank. The interview. She was about to lose the opportunity because of this disastrous encounter. Without hesitation, he offered a solution. "Get on my bike. I'll take you there." She hesitated for a moment, but urgency overcame her reservations. With a resigned sigh, she agreed. She climbed on the back, holding on tightly as he sped through the city streets. The wind whipped her hair, and a sense of freedom began to mix with her anxiety. They arrived at the company with minutes to spare, and she got off the bike with a hasty thank you. He smiled, showing an expression that mixed amusement and admiration. "Good luck at the interview," he said, before speeding off on the adventure of a lifetime. As she headed towards the building, she wondered if that unexpected encounter was just an anomaly in her day, or if perhaps it was the start of something more. She entered the building with her heart still racing from the adrenaline rush of the motorcycle ride. Despite the setback, she was determined to do her best in the interview. She greeted the receptionist with a nervous smile and was led to the waiting room. As she waited, her mind wandered to the strange encounter with the volleyball man. Who was he? Why was she so intrigued by someone so different from her? She shook her head, trying to clear away the distractions. She concentrated on mentally reviewing her answers and remembering the key points she wanted to highlight in the interview. Finally, she was called into the room. She took a deep breath and walked in confidently, ready to face any question that came her way. The interview went smoothly, and she left feeling that she had done her best. As she left the building, she decided to stop at a nearby coffee shop to reward herself for her efforts. As she sipped her coffee, her mind went back to the volleyball man. Did he often play on that court? Would she ever see him again? Her train of thought was interrupted by the sound of a cell phone vibrating in her bag. She took it out and saw a message from an unknown number. It read like this: "I hope your interview went well and that you got rid of the coffee from your clothes." She blinked in surprise. Was that him, the volleyball man? But how did he get my number? An involuntary smile spread across her face as she typed a brief reply. "Thanks for the ride and for your concern. The interview was great, and the coffee came out of the laundry, eventually." The days passed and the messages between them became a comforting routine. They discovered that they had more in common than they had imagined. He shared exciting stories of his adventures around the world, while she talked about her academic passions and her dreams for the future. Every message they exchanged brought them closer together, building a connection that seemed to transcend their differences. She began to look forward to the moments when her phone vibrated with a new message from him, eager to share her experiences and thoughts. One day, he invited her to meet in person. Her heart raced with excitement at the invitation. Despite her initial fears about whether or not they would fit together, she couldn't resist the opportunity to see the man behind the messages. They arranged to meet in a cozy cafe in the city center. When she saw him walk in, her heart leapt. He was so different from the men she was used to seeing, wild, free, and full of life. As they talked, they realized that the spark they felt through their messages was also present in person. They laughed together, shared stories, and discovered a deeper connection that transcended their superficial differences. He places a gift package on the table. She asks, "What's this?" He smiles and says it's a present for the day he spilled coffee on his clothes. She opens the package and it's a beautiful blouse, ideal for the summer they're living in. She thanks him for his kindness, but something still bothers her. How did he get her number? Then he reveals that day, among the papers lying on the floor, there was one of her CVs, and it contained her number. He felt bad about disrupting the interview and decided to send her a message to see if everything had gone well. At the end of the night, he walked her home. Under the moonlight, he took her by the hand and looked into her eyes with an intensity that made her shiver. "I know we are different, but I feel something special for you," he said softly. She confessed that she thought he was special too. After all, he made her ride a motorcycle for the second time, and that was a miracle because she was too scared to swim on a motorcycle. The two of them smiled and, in front of the beautiful night, exchanged a soft kiss. She looked at him, conflicting feelings swirling in her mind. She knew she was falling in love with him, but the fear of the unknown haunted her. Could they overcome their differences and build something lasting together? With a sigh, she decided to surrender to the moment and let fate guide their path. She smiled, replying with a simple, "Me too." And in that instant, they knew they were embarking on a journey of love and adventure that would change their lives forever. As their relationship blossomed, she couldn't help but wonder if he would be able to commit. The image of him as a free man, surrounded by beautiful women and living a life without ties, haunted her thoughts. She tried to push these worries aside, concentrating on the happy moments they shared together. However, there was a shadow of doubt lingering in the back of her mind. Could she ever be enough for him? Or would he eventually feel the need to move on? in search of new thrills and adventures, she decided to address his concerns directly. One quiet evening, as they sat together in his living room, she plucked up the courage to ask him about his past and his current lifestyle. He looked at her seriously, his eyes conveying a mixture of emotions. He admitted that his life had previously been full of impulses and freedom, but since meeting her, something had changed inside him. He found himself longing for a more stable, more meaningful life alongside her. She felt relieved to hear his words, but a small voice inside her still persisted. Would he be able to keep his promise to change, or would it only be a matter of time before he reverted to his old ways? As the months passed, she began to see real changes in him. He made an effort to be present in her life, showing commitment and dedication that she never expected to find in him. Together, they built a partnership based on trust, respect, and love. She realized that although his past may have been turbulent, he was determined to build a future alongside her, and she was willing to give him a chance, believing in the transformative power of love. Over time, her worries dissipated, replaced by the certainty that they were made for each other. And together, they would face whatever challenges fate threw their way, ready to write the next chapter in their unlikely love story. While the relationship was blossoming and seemed to be solidifying, something unexpected happened that shook their confidence. One evening, while they were having dinner together in a cozy restaurant, he received an urgent and mysterious phone call. His face turned pale as he hung up the phone, and she could feel the tension in the air. He tried to disguise it, but she could tell something was wrong. Before she could ask, he abruptly got up from the table, mumbling apologies and saying he needed to sort something out. She sat there, dazed and confused, as he disappeared through the door. What could be so important as to interrupt a romantic dinner? Her thoughts spun in circles, and a feeling of apprehension began to settle in her chest. Hours passed, and he still hadn't returned. She tried calling him several times, but the calls went straight to voicemail. Worried and anxious, she couldn't concentrate on anything but the uncertainty of what was happening. Finally, after an interminable wait, he came home. His face was dark and worried, and she could see the anguish in his eyes when he met her in the living room. He approached her, holding her hands firmly. "I need to tell you something," he began, his voice trembling with restrained emotion. "I've received news about my past, something I thought I'd left behind." She stared at him, holding her breath, prepared to hear the worst. He continued, revealing a secret he had kept for so long, a secret that threatened to change everything between them. As he spoke, she felt a tumultuous mix of emotions: shock, sadness, confusion. But above all, she felt an overwhelming wave of compassion and love for him. He was facing a challenge from the past, and she was determined to be by his side, no matter what. The secret he revealed was related to a debt of gratitude he owed to a family who took him in during a difficult period in his life. This family helped him when he was going through times of great emotional and financial instability, and he felt eternally grateful for everything they did for him. As a teenager, he took part in a robbery and spent some time in prison, but he turned his life around. He hung around with bad company and made bad decisions, but he regretted it deeply. After he got out of jail, this family took him in until he came of age. After that, he graduated in physical education and dedicated his life to helping young people in the same situation. However, he hid this part of his life for fear that revealing the truth would change the way she saw him. He feared that if she found out about his connection to this family, she would judge him differently or feel insecure about their future together. When the secret came out, she was surprised, but also deeply touched by the story he shared. She saw it as proof of his humanity and vulnerability, not as a flaw. Instead of driving them apart, the secret strengthened their bond, showing her that he trusted her enough to share his most intimate story. Together, they learned to face the challenges of the past and build a future based on honesty and mutual support. As they absorbed the revelation, she felt a wave of compassion and love flood her heart. Instead of pushing them apart, the secret brought them even closer. She hugged him lovingly, offering him comfort and unconditional support. Together, they would face this unexpected obstacle, united by the unbreakable bond of love they had built together. And over time, they would discover that even in the most difficult situations, true love always finds a way to prevail. Together, they faced the challenges that arose from this secret from the past, working as a team to overcome every obstacle that came their way. And as they faced these challenges together, their love and trust in each other only grew stronger. Over time, they found peace and happiness in their relationship, knowing that they could be totally transparent with each other. They built a future based on sincerity, mutual respect, and above all, true love. And so, together, they embarked on a journey of adventure and discovery, ready to face whatever fate had in store for them. With their hearts intertwined, they knew that no matter what happened, they would always have each other to lean on and love, today and forever. Today's story has taught us that love doesn't only prevail in good times, but in the face of turbulence and revelations, the importance of true love is proven. Have someone by your side who will support you and not judge you for the past. Thanks for watching, and see you again. Kisses!